TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. It is Friday, October the 4th, 2019, coming to you live and in person or on digital recording or however you want to put that. Journal number 185, T+185. And you can file this blog post under shameless plugs, or you might not want to listen to it at all because I thought after all this time about explaining what I was doing around and about Misfire, what to do when things aren't running on all cylinders, I might just stop and tell you what the book's about and how I came to write it. I've been writing to the automotive repair community for the better part of 37 years. Generally to about 140,000 shops where the magazines go, usually with a readership of at least 2.8 to 3.8 that time. So it's a large number of folks who have become familiar with my point of view, my take on life, and what I have to say. And I've enjoyed probably more success than I deserve in that regard. But it all flows out of a tremendous love I have for the people who struggle in this industry. And I say struggle unadvisedly. And I've come to know shops and shop owners extremely well over the years. I've been in more shops than any other, more than likely any other human being on the planet. In my travels and seminars that I've done, and I've worked all over the United States and Canada doing seminars on automotive shop management, trying to help shop owners find balance in their lives and achieve the success that they deserve. The one overwhelming fact that I've come to understand is that the news cycles that find time to talk about automotive ripoffs almost always find themselves involved with large franchises, not individual independent automotive repair shops. And that's one thing to look out for. The second thing is that I know for a fact, having seen the books on more shops than most accountants, that the only person a shop owner or any small business owner for that matter is likely to hurt in business in the course of doing business is themselves. And that was brought home dramatically today. I visited one of those shops that sells, whey powder and different kinds of protein shakes and protein bars and all kinds of supplements and what have you. And the young man I've come to know and really enjoy was complaining about the fact that he had no life, that he wasn't making any money, and that he was gone all the time, he was working all the time, and it was taking its toll on him and his family life. And that's an interesting segue into the story of the book. After all these years of doing seminars, presentations, keynote addresses, writing columns to the automotive industry, comprised of independent business people, and entrepreneurs, independent entrepreneurs, it's a subject that I know a little bit about. I've written 8 manuals on automotive shop management. But the one thing I've come to understand is that most of the people who need this information the most are the least likely people to read a business book, especially a business book that was focused entirely on the numbers and tried to drag the reader kicking and screaming into a world they're really uncomfortable with. So I decided that I would try something very different. I decided that I would write a business book for people who wouldn't necessarily want to read a business book, people who wouldn't browse the aisles at Barnes and Noble or wander through the digital world of Amazon looking for a book on business. I decided I'd write a compelling story about people would that the reader would recognize and could relate to. And in the story, I would go ahead and quietly, very subtly embed business tools and lessons as examples of what you should do and what you could do in order to go ahead and reprogram yourself and recreate your business so that it works for you, the business owner, rather than um, having you work almost exclusively for it. I think I was successful in that. I've gotten enough feedback from people who have read the book and contacted me and explained to me how it's already changed their lives. So I feel really good about that. And now the uh, the really hard part is trying to go ahead and create awareness of the book to the general population out there of folks who should read it, folks who could read it, um, folks who need to read it. And if you're familiar with advertising or marketing, uh, you know that it's, or public relations for that matter, it's called the AIDA model, AIDA, awareness, interest, desire, action, with the action being to buy the book and read it. And now, there are two things that I never thought of when I wrote the book. Actually, there are a lot more than two things that I never thought of when I wrote the book. Things that I should have thought of that I didn't. Um, One was everything that happens after the book is written, such as promoting it, uh, publicizing it, making people aware of it, creating interest, and then desire, and then asking for the order, asking people to actually reach into their pocket and spend money to buy the book and see what it's all about. The cool part about Misfire, I think, is that even if you're not interested in small business ownership or operation, the story carries itself. And it's a story that's universal in many respects, and it characters that are very, very human and and flawed and easy to recognize and relate to as well. Um, the other things that I wasn't aware of, and the second part probably of this blog post is unashamed plug for the book are questions related to the things that you do to build a community. I mean, you have a choice when you write a book like this and you put something out in the marketplace. You can either create awareness and say, "Here's the book, buy it." You know, it's easy. Go on Amazon, go to our webpage, buy the book. It can change your life, especially if you're a small business person. It doesn't matter what small business, you're going to recognize yourself in the pages of this book. I'd be willing to bet on that. Um, or you can go ahead and say, I would like you to read this book. I don't expect you to read it just because I'm asking you to read it. I'd also like to build a community around the book and invite you to join that community. And if you raise your hand and say, yes, I'd like to be a part of that community, uh, a community that functions on bidirectional communication, the ability for us to communicate with each other, not just a monologue, but a dialogue, um, and then decide to read the book. That's the other option. If you know me at all, or if you know me well, then you know that I would choose the second option. Um, for a number of reasons, not the least of which is I love people and I love helping people and I love communicating with people. And now that I'm have the luxury of time, now that it looks like I might just be okay, I'm working on that assumption and moving forward that way. So I'm thinking seriously about creating a newsletter around Misfire and around the lessons that are in the book. These are life lessons as well as business lessons. Um, I guess they're all life lessons in a way, but they talk about flexibility, about balance, about focus, about the difference between impact, force and impact, and how they're not the same thing, and how critically important it is for you to recognize which you're working with at any given moment. So here's what I'd like to do. Um, if you have any questions about the book, what it's all about, why I did it, beyond what we've already talked about, please get in touch with me. I'll be happy to talk about it. It's been front of mind for a very long time. And it's the source of great joy to me now that the writing part of it's done, not finished. I just stopped writing. But the two things that we're looking at is this idea of a newsletter and then a workbook for people that are entrepreneurs that are serious about um, changing their current reality and moving closer to the vision that they have for their own future. I think we can help with that. I think Misfire can get you started on that road, and the workbook will accelerate that. And then the coaching and consulting firms that are out there can pick it up from where I leave off. Um, if any of this makes sense to you, please get in touch with me and let me know. If you think it's a bad idea, you can let me know that as well. I promise to listen. And we might even start a dialogue, who knows? If you think it's a great idea, tell me why and tell me what you'd like to see in that newsletter. I promise you, I hate long newsletters that just go on and on forever. If I'm involved in this, it's going to be short, sweet, to the point, um, probably based a lot on some of the work that we've already done here on the blog, and also on a set of segments that I did much earlier, and that are also video. Uh, and let me know about the format, how you'd like it to, how you'd like it to be delivered to you. And as long as we're talking about a newsletter, let me know if you might be interested in a podcast as well. It's not because I want to work that hard either, by the way. I don't, not at this point in my life. However, I do want to continue on my quest to help people achieve their dreams and live better lives than they might be experiencing right now. So if you can help me help them, it would be awesome. In the meantime, stay well, take care. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to try and be here tomorrow and Sunday. It depends on how crazy the weekend gets, but look for me. I probably won't surprise you by showing up. So stay well, take care. Until then, bye bye.